If you haven't been under a rock, then you know that Jasmine Crockett just announced that she's running for state senate in Texas. And the moment she did, the propaganda machine started working overtime to try and throw dirt on her name.
The white so-called pro-Palestine cause colonizers piss me the fuck off. And they're at it again, and this time it's an account called Rogue DNC. They interviewed Jasmine Crockett and then uploaded the video just moments ago. And they're already starting a campaign against her. A woman who's never taken a fucking cent from AIPAC. And she fucking held her own.
And I want to be clear. No one should ever be okay with war.
Well, you voted to fund it.
No, I did not vote to fund war. What I voted for...
Yes, you did. You voted to supply Israel with armaments that they're using in their prosecution of the war.
You understand that we took more than one vote? Because we had 3 votes on Israel.
There have been like 1 million votes on Israel.
We had 3 votes as relates to funding for Israel. The very first vote was to fund Israel and defund the IRS because that's what the Republicans put on the floor. That because the Republicans
Correct.
won the House. Okay? What was my vote? It was a no.
No.
Then
But you ultimately voted yes on the bill to fund Israel.
the second vote was to fund Israel and no other funding. Okay? The third vote, was it just for funding Israel or was it also to get money to the people of Gaza?
And that aid has been consistently blocked. I mean, you can complain about Netanyahu, but he's the one administering the funding that you said.
Okay, the U.S. Senate has no control over Netanyahu. But it's so interesting that you essentially glossed over the fact that she was talking about voting for getting aid into Gaza, an area that was experiencing a stage 5 famine. But you were so intent on taking down the black woman, who again is running for senator in Texas, who will be good for Texas. And as a senator, she will also be good for the United States. So yeah, to the white cause colonizers out there, I really recommend that you do some self-reflection about who you're criticizing and how it is actually helping the American people. Because spoiler, getting MAGA into these positions, as you all have been helping to do, has not helped anyone in the US and definitely has not helped anyone in Palestine.
The bots in the comment section are in full effect. The raccoons are coming out making their videos calling her ghetto. But the most common lie that I'm seeing that could actually have an effect on her getting elected is that she's pro-Israel. But as you can see by the intro, Rogue DNC is purposely creating a narrative that isn't true. And since we're digging into people's backgrounds, let's check out who the owner of this platform actually is.
This Rogue DNC account on Instagram and Facebook seems to be the one that is spreading the most misinformation about Jasmine Crockett. So I wanted to do a little bit of research into who actually runs this account, and this is what I found out. So I went to their Facebook page and I could see that it was ran by somebody who owns Aztec Princess LLC. And this is on the Facebook page as well, that it's ran out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. And when you go to the Connecticut Secretary of State website, it gives you this name, Luis Magana. And this is who I have determined runs that page. And here's just a little bit of the things that I have found that he has posted. He didn't really like Kamala Harris. Pretending we like Trump to use the restroom at Trump Tower. Doesn't seem to be a fan of Beyonce. And he was a Bernie bro. Interesting. And he thought that Alex Jones used to be a pretty decent guy before InfoWars. Did you see a trend there?
I got a question. What's going on with the purity test that black candidates have to pass that don't seem to apply to anybody else? Like, as soon as we go to get elected, people start going back and bringing up the report card from the 5th grade.
Jasmine Crockett announced yesterday that she's running for Senate, that she's entering the Democratic primary and hopes to be on the ballot in 2026. And a day that should have just been celebratory for Jasmine and those who support her turned into a tale as old as 2024. Because while there are no perfect politicians, no one is ever purity tested at the level of black politicians. Now, to be clear, I do not support everything that black politicians do and say. I get on here regularly and call folks out. But what I do know is that no one is ever held to account at the level that Black politicians are. And watching a false narrative grow into a full-blown fever pitch on the day that Jasmine announces tells me the ways in which people on the left operate in anti-Blackness, but can absolve themselves mentally. And like I said, it's a tale as old as 2024. I watched this happen. I watched a concerted campaign on the left against Kamala Harris in 2024. That is not to say that Kamala was a perfect politician. They don't exist. That's not to say that Kamala did not need to change on some things. She absolutely did. But there's a difference between pushing politicians to change and the concerted campaign that was run against her on the left. While simultaneously, you had Trump on the right calling her the most radical socialist communist ever. And you got Greg Abbott right now saying that Jasmine Crockett is a socialist and that Texas will never, ever stand up for the type of politics that she has. And so what happens for a Jasmine Crockett or a Kamala Harris is a dual campaign in which the opponents on the right are calling her and mislabeling her in ways, and the opponents on the left are calling out her and mislabeling her in ways. And all that sits in the middle is the reality that we don't do this to any other people group. To be clear, so much of the conversations that are being had right now, some of which are misleading. Like I saw somebody say, she takes AIPAC money. Jasmine's never taken AIPAC money. But when you spread this kind of misinformation and then that person wins the primary, are going to say, we shouldn't vote for the Democrat to win that seat? Because that's what a lot of y'all did in 2024. And look at where we are now.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought after Donald Trump got elected president the second time, that the American people was done with the background checks. But the most ludicrous thing about this whole situation is hearing people who are from nowhere near where she is running talking about what she has done and what she needs to do going forward for the people in Texas.
When did the litmus test for if someone should run statewide in Texas become, where do they stand on Israel and Gaza? Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? If I live in the state of Texas, I am more concerned if the person representing me cares about energy affordability, is understanding of our Texas grid structure, cares about the rolling blackouts, the heat waves, is going to go to Congress and push for funding when it comes to storms. Texas has incredible storms that have had devastating impact, especially on those coastal areas. That is of high concern to the people who live in Texas. You cannot convince me that people who live in Texas are that concerned about Israel and Gaza that they would not support a candidate because they don't align with what you believe. Listen, if you live in one of these liberal strongholds, these very deep, deep blue states, care about what you want to care about, but don't make a test for people who are running in red states to pass about Israel and Gaza, okay? Like, can somebody else just let Southern Democrats, let us just handle the states that we have, okay? We understand the demographics and the people. You understand New York. Good for you.
You know how many comments I've seen of people disrespecting what she's done for Texas 30? And then you check the person's account and they live in Iowa? The way people are discussing Jasmine announcing that she's running for Senate has been very interesting. The hate for her seems less political and more personal.
Jasmine Crockett running for Senate, you an insult to all educated black women. And I'm a black woman, and I'm saying that to you. You put a stain on us. You want to live up to the hype and the reputation that black women are all loud, we're all arrogant, we're all ignorant, all we do is bat our eyes and rolls our neck. And then when you introduced the fact that you were running for Senate, you had this old lunatic up there trying to rap and thinking that he was speaking in tongues. Then you had this old preacher up there. Then you got up there with the fake crocodile tears. Baby, you are not going to make it in Senate.
So Jasmine Crockett is at it again. Y'all know she done got kicked out of her seat in Texas. So now she is running for Senate. Yeah. Look like she about to run a campaign like Kamala Harris.
Crockett is not flipping the Senate seat in Texas. Why? Because her platform is completely out of line with what Texas actually believes. Jasmine Crockett is not the answer for Texas or any other state.
I get it. If you like the other candidates because their policies fit you better, that makes sense. But the selective outrage for her when you don't have this energy for anybody else, it just makes you look like a hater. And when the hate doesn't work, they start telling lies. I'm out.